You're listening to Community Heroes podcast featuring people sharing about their stories with their disabilities. And now for your host. Welcome back to Community Heroes podcast. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Canada Paralympian paracycling Joanie Carson. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you, Brendan?
I'm doing wonderful. Can you tell us about your disability and what it is?
Good. So for me, I competed in the paracycling as a tandem pilot. So I competed as able body. My partner had a visual impairment, so that's typically the particularity of the tandem. You have a pilot who is at the front as full vision, and then my partner at the back, the stoker on the bike, has a visual impairment. So that was the nature of our sport.
Of course, what was that like, obviously, competing as a pilot?
It was really good, very different than, a lot of similarities, but a lot of differences versus individual road cycling. Much more team aspect, much more communication involved as well with my teammate. And I really enjoyed the experience.
What was that transition like from going from competing in track and field as an athlete to getting into cycling?
It was good. It was, a transition in the sense that in running, we don't have as much tactic involved as in cycling. So I think it went pretty smooth, but I first treated my first bike races like they were running races, and they were not. So yeah, I got dropped in the first acceleration on top of the climb, totally dropped from the pack. So I learned, but from a training perspective, I think that I already had a pretty good engine and good training and work ethic. So for that part, that went pretty smooth.
How did you know that you wanted to get into the sport of cycling?
So I was a runner, as you mentioned, track and field, and I always loved cycling for as a training, like a training method, but also just getting on my bike and doing some long distance in order to work my endurance. So I love that, like endurance cycling, and I just love everything around like professional cycling, looking at the Tour de France, like the uniform, team car, the intensity, the adrenaline. Like I was just very attracted by that from an outside perspective, and I was also very curious of how I would do as a cyclist. So um, that's why I got into cycling.
Of course, what was it like getting into the parasite, and what challenges did you face while getting into the parasite of cycling?
So one of the things for me is I started with a very good athlete, um, Robbie Weldon, who won gold medal at London, and I started in as a pilot a year, less than 2 years before the games, and I had to learn fast and be good right away, pretty much. So it went pretty well because I had so much background in the sport. But the challenges was having very few races to like learn the dynamics of the sport and having to perform like right away. Our first race went like really well. We made the Canadian standard, probably one or if not the fastest time on at the Défi Sportif that was ever posted on the women's side. So like we delivered right away, but it was also some pressure to perform very quickly at the international level. One of the things is also learning all the cues, the communication, and the dynamic of the tandem in itself. Yeah, otherwise, it's that whole team environment and being with athletes of different sport and different disability, which I think was really cool to get to know athletes that we don't compete together, but like, yeah, in a different discipline of paracycling.
How's it been like obviously competing on the paracycling circuit?
It's I really enjoyed it. The women's tandem is very strong. The women's tandem field is very strong. We had some very strong countries out there, including ourselves, including ours, at the time that I was competing, at least. So it's cool. It's like a big family, I would say. There's 4 or 5 World Cups a year plus World Championships, so get to see familiar faces, and it's pretty friendly. But it's like any other competitive sport. Like when you're on the start line, when you're competing, it's game on, and nobody's gonna give you a chance or make it easy for you. It's just that it's the same high level of competitiveness as like able body sport. So but it was super cool, really good camaraderie, good sportsmanship, and like a big family.
What was that experience like getting to compete in the adaptive sports at the highest level and get to go to the Paralympics?
So again, women's tandem field has become very competitive, and it was cool to be among the highest level of the sport. We got a podium on the World Cup in Magnago in Italy in 2017, and it was pretty cool to make it there for the Olympics, for the Paralympics in itself. It's not easy to earn a spot in the team. There's very few spots for Team Canada, and to be among one of them, it was it was really cool. Again, big sense of accomplishment and gratitude.
What was that experience like getting to go to Rio and compete in your first Paralympics in 2016?
It was pretty neat experience. The games are different than any other events, World Cups, or like any other international events. I really like the team that we had in like Shana and I, and also with the other women's pair, which were Audrey Lemieux and Robbie Weldon. We had a very good dynamic. We're also very good friends outside of cycling, so it was cool to live those moments with people who I really enjoy the company and I enjoy being with, these 4, but also the team, the rest of the team, they're all like amazing people, and I liked everyone who we had on that team. And yeah, it was pretty cool, a pretty cool atmosphere in the village, and all the preparation that leads into this. So again, it's just extra special versus any other competition.
How's that experience like getting to cycle around Rio and obviously get to compete in Rio?
Yeah, cycling in Rio is not the cycling in South Rio is not easy. The course was like really cool, nice mix of flat and really steep and difficult climb. So that was a very selective course for the road race. I'm not sure that like this would be my primary destination for training camp. For example, I don't think there's a variety of routes there, but um, the route and of course were like challenging road race. um, Needs a lot of, this is the kind of course that requires everything you got, lots of grit, and he made it like a very competitive race for the road race. And yeah, time trial was flat, fast course, a little bit technical with some tight turns. But yeah, overall competing was really cool. Another thing that happens in our sport, in women's tandem, is that there are tandems that are not doing a lot of World Cups, for example, but then they get selected by their country, and we don't have a lot of references of where they are and where they stand. So it's always like, how are the Japanese tandem gonna be? How's the Kiwi tandem's gonna be? The Aussies, we don't see them very often. So having like such a deep field and not like knowing exactly the level of competitiveness of some country adds a little bit of a extra suspense to the race itself.
What was your experience like getting to compete in the Pan American Games?
It was super cool. It's a little bit of a lower stakes in a sense, but still, you know, we have a pressure to do to earn results, because this is what earned points for Canada. It adds points for Canada for the Paralympic, which are held the following years. So it's a chance to do well for ourselves, but also for our country and for our paracycling team. It's a cool atmosphere because we often race with the men's. So with the Rose race, we were with the men's team. And then, men and women from Canada, USA, Central America, South America. So it's a different field, and it allows us to know different tandem, different athletes, and it's a high level of camaraderie. Because the Panams were in Toronto, we also had a lot of support from the people on site. Like I remember in TT, there were a lot of people cheering for us. So that was really cool. And obviously, one of the pinnacle of the Para Panam was winning the bronze medal in the time trial and standing on the podium alongside the two other Canadian tandems. So that was pretty cool.
Of course, while at the Paralympic Games, what was that feeling like, being around some of the same people that you obviously trained with and have trained with before?
Yeah, we had a very good dynamic. So like it was cool to be like, especially the 4 tandem athletes that we were together. We shared a lot. it was cool to, craft race tactic plans together and be really on the same page, on the same schedule. And also because the teams were like, teams changed at some point in the cycle. Like I was with Robbie, Audrey was with Shana, and then we interchanged pilots and stokers. It almost seemed like we all contributed into each other's, a little bit into each other's success and road to get there. So yeah, we were kind of linked in a special and different way. And as I said, like I have some pretty strong friendship even outside the bike. So being able to live those moments with these people was pretty awesome.
What were some of the things that you did as a pilot?
In terms of like results or other sport results,
Sports
yeah,
results.
I would say some of the results that I'm most proud are winning bronze medal at the Paralympics. That was one. Winning a medal at the World Cup in Europe in a very competitive field. So bronze on the time trial, but was also a pretty good results. I would add to this on a more local scene, performances at nationals, winning both the road race and the TT with Robbie. With Robbie Weldon winning the road race with Shauna Ryan, and we had a pretty strong lead to all with all our opponents. So we just stayed with the guys as long as we could, and we're the first women's tandem. I think we won by over 3 or 4 minutes, so that was pretty cool. And lastly, the Défi Sportif in Montreal. I've done it 3 times, 2 or 3 times, but I've only won on that course. I've only been on the first place and improved my time every single time. So with 2 different stokers. So I'm pretty proud of these performances as well.
What has it been like, obviously, getting to compete with other people with adaptive sports and compete at such a high level?
It's cool to be exposed to a different reality. I find like for athletes, regular athletes, sometimes, it's easy. You just put your thing in a bag and then you drive and you go to the race. And we don't realize how like lucky and privileged to have that sort of easiness. I look at athletes just getting ready for a race and an event, and just that just from a mobility perspective, sometimes require assistance and requires some help just putting their equipment together. And it's good to be exposed to a different reality. And I just have like a very deep level of respect for any athletes on the para sport side. Yeah.
Throughout your career, what has it been like, obviously, getting to represent Team Canada and put on that Canada jersey?
It's cool. SNME stands for more than just the sport itself. We're representing our countries and our country and all the people, all Canadians, but also all the values which we stand for with sportsmanship, ethic, and that that sense of hard work and and all the values that Canada stands for. So it is definitely extra special.
What has that been like? Obviously, getting to meet those fans with disabilities and have them ask for your autographs and hear about your story.
Um, it's cool that when people are following the sport. It's good to see that para athletes serve as role model for um, young athletes, but really for anybody. Um, so I'm like delighted to see that, and yeah, I hope that there's more para sport out there, and that more fans come and ask for our autograph.
Looking back on your career, what are some of your favorite memories and moments besides obviously the Paralympic Games?
Um, some of my best moments, you say?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All the training together, like all the training camps, the suffering on the bike, um, all the in between training sessions, um, like the traveling with the team, um, as silly as it sounds, as traveling from point A to B, and we're a team of like, I don't know, 10 athletes in the car, and the coach is driving the van from Italy to Switzerland, or during like some crazy long distance, and then just all the fun with the team, right? All those moments, all these conversation, all the laugh, and just yeah, everything we shared together was great.
Have you been able to balance life outside of being a Paralympian?
So I joined the paracycling team in 2015, which I just had moved to Vancouver here in British Columbia. So that I was starting a new life in here, and I kind of crafted a lot of my life activities around my training and racing. And one thing that was helpful is a lot of my friends were cyclists, um, like just road cyclists. So it was cool to, share the training and the in between together. Like we had a lot in common, and my work environment was extremely supportive at Fortius Sport and Health, which was a high-end sports facility in Burnaby. So like that helped a lot balance, because everything was centered around that. I didn't have a ton of distraction, and in all honesty, like I really loved training and competing, so that made things easier at that time.
What are some of your future plans now retired from cycling?
So I'm coaching most. That's my main occupation. So I'm a cycling coach. I have a background in exercise physiology and kinesiology, so I transferred that into my coaching business that is called Altius Velo. Um, so I own a cycling studio in Vancouver, and I do some one-on-one coaching as well. Um, and I've been coaching with the national team last summer for a project in Europe. So there's a lot of coaching, and I'm also developing another project that is like non-cycling related, but startup more in the physiology side of things. So I'll be able to tell you more in a future podcast.
What advice do you give those people that are looking to get into adaptive sports?
I would say it's not necessarily easy, and you may need to knock at a lot of doors and make a lot of phone calls until you find the right environment and the right like structure to help you, because in the case of like paracycling, for example, you may need a special bike or special equipment, and it's hard to find the right information, but there are few organizations that like specialize in that, and like thank God that they exist. So reach out, branch out, and find the right resources to help you and be clear with your goals. If you want to get into the sport, you want to get to a start line, or you just maybe want to practice recreationally, that will require a different level of support. But definitely like branch out, be curious, and be persistent.
What advice would you give those people that have disabilities that are looking to become Paralympians?
I would be willing to invest a lot of your time and energy in, like, often we pick up that sport later in life too, so we have to kind of bridge the gap to get to that international level quickly. So be willing to invest a lot of time, and yeah, dedicate a lot into the sport. And then other advice, yeah, just like my previous advice, reach out to other athletes, like seek advice, learn the sport. So like whether it's watching videos or conversations with coaches, with teammates. So reach out, do your research, do your homework, and just be prepared to invest a lot of time and get the support of your immediate family and friends, because it takes a village to make it happen.
That's great advice. Where can our listeners find you at on social media?
On Instagram, Joanie Caron Cycling or Altius Vélo, and same on Facebook, Joanie Caron or Altius Vélo.
Thank you again, Joanna Carson, for your interview, and best of luck in your future wherever it may hold you.
Thank you, Brandon.
You can find Community Heroes on Facebook at Community Heroes, Instagram at com_heroes, Twitter at com_heroes, and you can find us on YouTube at officially Community Heroes. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Joanne, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you very much.
You are watching Community Heroes. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Community Heroes on social media and on YouTube.